Good morning, Judith.
Good morning, Sonya.
Welcome to the Coach's Cup podcast. We hope that you are having a good morning this morning, and we are here to talk about all of your impossible goals for the end of the year.
Just the perfect time of year to,
Yeah,
to, to talk about this for sure.
that's what I'm sorry. I have a frog in my throat this morning. Um, I was noticing as we were looking up, or as I was looking at the list of podcasts that we have coming out, and I guess we did kind of plan it, but we've had talked about how to fail, and then how to set your goals, and then today the impossible goals.
hmm hmm
And I'm excited about this one because it's only been, I think, within the last year or 18 months that I have really even considered an impossible goal and what it is. So this one kind of excites me.
This goal, you have a goal.
Well, the idea of having an impossible goal. I think it's kind of fun to
Mhm.
think about having an impossible goal.
Maybe even as we say this, I'm just going to go there. Like I'm thinking to myself, what is an impossible goal I can have? I'm
Mm.
just going to be thinking about this the whole time we're talking about this. So let's just not be surprised what I say.
Okay. I promise not to be surprised at what your impossible goal is.
I'm going to be self-coaching all along as we talk, trying to think
Mhm.
of an impossible goal for myself.
Well, and so let's just begin by talking about, for people who haven't heard the concept before, talking about what an impossible goal is and how it differs from maybe the goals that we usually set for ourselves.
Okay.
Um, you know, this is the perfect time of year people start thinking about those New Year's resolutions.
Mhm.
I think we even talked about it last week that only about 6% of the people who set New Year's resolutions actually follow through to the conclusion. So,
Which is so interesting, which might be more than I would think, depending on because a lot of people set lofty goals.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
so maybe these aren't, it's not so much that we're talking about impossible goals as we are talking about how to follow through with some of our loftier goals.
Mhm.
Um Because it almost sounds like if you follow through with it and actually achieve it, then you've reached an impossible goal just in the act of following through.
Okay, am I understanding that right?
Now, I was getting a little deep there, but
Yep.
the fact that so few people follow through with New Year's resolutions, it makes me wonder why it's still such a thing.
It's until the last 5 years, probably 4 or 5 years. I don't know that, I had done my share of like I'd done a vision board or two, and I had made New Year's resolutions and like Googled like how to do a resolution type thing. And but never really fully understanding what it took
Mhm.
or that there was a process to get to the goal. Like many goals I would meet,
Yeah.
but never really, I think one, because I take a lot of action. Like I know how to, I want to get from A to Z, and I know it's going to be all the thing, and I'll just keep going, 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 thinking that was my process and not realizing that that is part of the goal setting process of an
Yeah.
impossible goal.
Yeah, that's the process.
Right?
So an impossible goal, yeah, is anything that you decide. It may be a personal goal, it may be a career goal, it may be whatever. It can have various forms, but it's any goal out there that seems at this point impossible to reach.
Mm,
And
mhm.
part of the reason, I think, for calling it an impossible goal is to kind of take some of that pressure off the front end of it. Because honestly, if it's impossible, do you even expect to hit it?
I had not even thought of why it was called impossible goal.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I don't know to if it's impossible, if it is truly impossible, then you don't expect to hit it. And for some of us more rebellious folk, simply calling it impossible, it raises it up a notch. It makes it a challenge like, we don't really expect you to hit it anyway.
Because that really isn't the purpose anyway. It's kind of like just going in a direction, setting yourself
Yeah.
in a direction.
Yeah. Yeah, the real purpose is what it takes to reach an impossible goal, which are those daily possible do goals.
Yeah.
So we talked about this a little bit last week, but many times we are short-sighted people in general. We like that we are. There's not. Yeah, I should probably qualify that. Okay. So in general, there's not a lot of reason to think long term. I mean, even think about our elected officials. They're elected for a very specific amount of time. And so many times they don't want to dig into those long term
Mhm.
projects
Mhm.
because there's nothing that people are going to see right away to make them want to reelect them. So they have to focus on more um, bigger short term things. So it's very easy to think about doing something like I want to lose 30 pounds,
Mhm.
but I want to do it by tomorrow, really.
Right.
I want to be able to wake up in the morning and see that I'm a few pant sizes down.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what I really want. Or I want a new job, but I want it in 2 weeks. That's what we like. We like instant gratification. I guess
Yeah.
I just said a whole lot of really weird stuff to
No, you
say that
didn't.
we like instant gratification.
I want
You're
to run
looking
that.
at me like I was a little crazy, so I
I was
don't
sitting
know.
here thinking about like, do I get what impossible goals are? I know I do.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just taking it in a really weird way. But so we like instant gratification, and for that reason, long-term goals are often impossible. But we get there by those daily possible goals. And this is all about sticking with it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally 100%.
So let's think about listeners.
Mhm.
What are your goals right now? And how can you level them up? Because surely if you're listening to us, I feel like you must have goals, right? You've got to have some future plans, some future things that you would like to accomplish already on your list. So, how can you level that up to an impossible goal? What would it look like if you did that?
So is this where I could talk about my do goal?
Go for it.
Okay. Um, so Sonia and I were talking before we started podcasting, which we always do, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
And Sonia
We
was asking,
pregame.
right? She was asking me if I had an impossible goal for this year, and I'm like, I really don't because it's just not there. Like I feel like I've achieved so much this past year. I think for me though, the foundation I need to go back and work on is basically the Monday hour one,
Mm.
planning my days, structuring. I would like to, in a year, really by December of this year, I would like to have this accomplished. But I think I've decided that I'm going to work on do a daily 30 where I set my work schedule up, my day. I'm going to spend 30 minutes every day structuring my day, figuring out what I'm going to be accountable for, what I can get done, what I can do today, and maybe even planning for tomorrow or the next day, just trying to,
Mhm.
because I'm not doing very well at like doing it on Mondays only.
Yeah.
Like Monday's a great start, but by Wednesday, yeah.
And all of that is in the because your impossible goal is by December 2021
Right.
to be organized, to have your calendaring down, to have your plans down, to reach this level of organization that you haven't achieved before.
Right. And it's not only is it going to start with work. I mean, there the things that will fall into that category will be like personal finances, like getting my passwords all figured out and more consistent because apparently I have a different
Yeah.
password for everything. Didn't everybody do that?
Yeah. Let's talk
No.
about impossible goals. Woo.
I live in password hell,
Yeah.
and I have been working on that every day. But um just personal time, just to have better time management skills,
Hmm.
or and feel more productive, and not at the end of the day being like, what did I get done? I'll get a shit ton of things done,
Yeah.
but it just kind of happens, and not with the structure I
Yes.
would.
Not with intention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And intention is really where impossible goals get done. So
Mm.
I'm going to go back. I did not, I'm springing this one on you.
All
So
right.
sorry about
Here you
that.
go. Coach me.
But your goal, your impossible goal up until this year was to be hired by No BS,
Of course,
was
yes.
to be a No BS coach. And so when you set that impossible goal, how long ago did you set it?
Like declared it probably a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Like declared it to myself, like when I decided to go to life coach school, like it was with the intention of that I would work
Yeah.
for No BS.
But really that you had decided before then, right?
I
Because
had,
that was the whole impetus for going to life coach school.
yeah, yeah, like all along, being a mentor and being part of the program,
Mhm.
I just knew there was a place for me somewhere there.
Yeah.
Somewhere like this is where I belong. These are my people. I want to keep talking about this. I want to help other women go through this journey and through this process. So yeah, I did, but it wasn't official, like, it wasn't like I sat down with a piece of paper, like, but I like action.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing. Just
Yeah.
get in action. Keep
So
going.
I love the way, I mean, this is really the perfect illustration. Um, because you did things along the way. You didn't wake up one morning and go, you know what? I'm going to Marco Polo with Corinne today and tell her I want to be a coach.
No.
You didn't do that.
No.
Decided, you know what? I could be a mentor. I could help out at camp. I could be useful
Yeah.
in 1,000 different ways. And that is really the process of achieving an impossible goal. We want to get up in the morning and say, I'm going to be an OBS coach today, but that is not how it happens. There's that cliche, the journey of
1,000 miles starts with one step.
yes,
Did you see
that.
my post on Instagram? That's what I
I
said.
did not. Is that yes, your post
The turkey trot.
the turkey trot, right. Yes, I did see that. Maybe that's what reminded me of that.
Mhm.
Anyway, it is a cliche that we have, but it's also
Mhm.
incredibly true because it's in those tiny little steps that we take that we finally accomplish an impossible goal. And we think about it in our society setting it off from year to year. So people really look back, I think, in November and December and start reflecting on the goals that they had. Maybe not. Maybe that's just me.
No, I
Maybe
think it's
most people
fine.
try to forget that they had goals.
Well, some of that too.
Yeah. But and then we set new ones for the new year. So we have kind of this arbitrary January to December that we divide it up in, but it may take longer than that. If it's a truly impossible goal, what's the chance of us reaching it anyway, whether it's a year or a year and a half? So What?
My head just went spinning thinking about calling it an impossible goal and like, why am I having trouble with this? Because I honestly believe that all goals are possible.
Mhm.
I think I'm not even liking the word impossible goal. They should be possible goals. You can have anything you set your mind to.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's absolutely true. But to do it, you have to take those small daily
Absolutely.
steps.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
that's
they're built on a big old stack of failure. So
100%.
I will be totally honest about one of my impossible goals is losing weight in this new year.
Mhm.
And I will tell you that year before last, I lost weight. This year, I'm ending the year on a surplus.
Hmm. But let's call it a possible goal. I
Well,
get it. I know. I know. I'm
so
still
I
stuck on
so
that.
here's the difference in my mind. Here's the difference in my mind. My goal is 30 pounds
Mhm,
for this next year.
mhm.
Um, that is impossible. I mean, that is possible, but it's a little scary, I guess, to think about because um I don't if I call it impossible, then if I hit 25 pounds for the year lost, then it won't be a negative. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm caught up in the madness of it. Like calling it impossible is
No, I totally get what you're
yeah.
saying.
Like
Uh,
from the get-go, like, well, what the hell?
yeah, yeah.
I want the
If it's
possible
impossible, why am I trying?
goal.
And I think it's a stretch goal. How about that? Can we
Yeah,
call it
I
a
like
stretch
stretch
goal?
better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's the same concept.
It is, but I'm
Um,
just hung up on that for sure. Like,
no, I agree. I agree. So it seems a stretch that it will happen, but if I reach it, it'll make it that much sweeter,
yes.
right?
And stretching sounds healthy, sounds doable, sounds
Mhm.
possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Impossible goal sounds, I don't know. Sorry, Brooke.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say you'll have to register your complaint with Brooke because that's where this concept came from of impossible goals. Um, but they are a stretch, right? I mean, you don't want to make your goal for next year. You don't want to make it something that you're easily going to achieve in January. Are you easily going to achieve becoming an organized person who sits down 30 minutes a day and plans at the beginning of every day?
I mean, I'm kind of there like with my personal life, but not it's just gonna no. To answer the question, no.
So it's gonna take some work.
Mhm.
Um, as I was thinking about my goals for this year, my impossible goals, one of the things that I realized, I preach discomfort all the time. If I had a dollar for every time we talked about discomfort on this podcast, I would end the year I don't know how much more wealthy because we talk about it probably every podcast.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's easy to talk about that. It's a little more difficult to put it into practice. And
Mhm.
so one of the things that I was really thinking about this week as I was thinking about my impossible goals, is that I need to start getting up earlier.
Mm, mhm.
When I was working on my dissertation, my now adult children were little. They were like 5 and 6. And so, most of the time it was just me and them there. So when it was time to go to school, I had to get them ready to go to school. I had to take them to school. I had, my own stuff to do. So if I was going to write on my dissertation, it had to be before they got up. And I'm not a night owl. So I got up at 3 a.m. and I
Mm,
wrote from 3 to 7 every morning.
wow.
I went to bed when they did. So we
Okay.
went to bed at like 8 or 8:30 and I was up by 3 writing. And I thought, now I'm kind of back in the same place. I have a 7-year-old. And, if I have help with him, but he's home all the time because of COVID. So during the day, it's a struggle. No, it's a challenge for my husband and I to get work done. Yeah, it's a stretch. It's a stretch to get work done when he is doing his work, or more likely not doing his work. And we are encouraging him to do his work. So I thought, you know what? I got to get up early again. I have got to, it's very comfortable for me to sleep until 7.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
like it. Even though I go to bed early, I still like not setting an alarm. But I decided if I'm going to reach the goals I have set for myself this year, I'm going to have to start getting up before everybody else,
Mhm.
because that's really my time to work. And I feel much more accomplished and energized if
Mhm.
I can set that time and then follow through.
Mhm. Mhm. I
So,
agree. Like the mornings, since since finding No BS in 2017, like if I had to say one of the most impactful changes in my life as far as structuring my day has been becoming a morning person of routine.
mhm,
Starting with, getting up, journaling, planning, not for work, but just like for the day, a
yeah,
sketch. It's not anything heavy or intense,
yeah,
and working out. And it's those small changes. It took time. So I'm appreciating my journey as you were sharing yours, that or your goal, that
mhm,
my daily 30, just spending 30 minutes, even if I start out, if it's just 15.
right,
It's 15 before I start and 15 at the end. Just doing that for myself will be so beneficial for how I show up and my performance and just personal accountability.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. So I think whether you want to call it an impossible goal or a stretch goal, the important thing to think about is that it's really not that goal at the end.
Yeah.
Whether or not whether or not I reach my business goal for the end of the year, whether or not I reach my weight loss goal for the end of the year, because of the daily commitments that I make to myself to change, those daily commitments will keep building to the point that I will reach those goals at some point. It took you a little longer, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you didn't have an end date. And I have goals that I don't really have an end date on. I know I'm going to reach them. I'm not exactly sure when,
Mhm. I
but
think go ahead.
go ahead.
I was thinking again about my daily 30. Like, I don't know what the end goal would be. I mean, if I just do daily 30, that is the end goal.
Yeah.
It's just to be organized.
Yeah.
Period.
And who knows where that's going to lead you, right?
Yes. Yes. Just
But
more.
wherever it goes, it's going to be good.
It is going to be good. And it's not going to be perfect.
Mm-mm.
I'm not going to start out scoring 7 out of 7 on my week. My little habit tracker won't have that on it. It'll be not full of little dots. It will be imperfect. And I'm willing to fail forward, to have the failures, reevaluate what happened. How can I make more time for this? How am I going to need to um, take better notes from the day before to make sure these other things get on my calendar?
Mhm.
Just to, reevaluate and keep moving forward. Just constant, basically what I'm doing now with some more intention, just like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's talk about failing forward for just a minute, because I mentioned that the impossible goals or stretch goals are built on a pile of failures. There's a difference in failing and failing forward.
Mhm.
Failing is what all of the 94% of people who don't accomplish
Mhm.
their and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't judge. Maybe all 94 don't just quit.
Oh, it's an arbitrary number.
Yeah, exactly. So, but some people, they set a goal and somewhere along the way, it just falls by the wayside. They don't evaluate it anymore. They don't think about it anymore. And so by the end of the year, maybe they've even forgotten that they said it. If they
Mhm.
didn't write it down, there's a good chance that they did. They've just forgotten that it even existed. That's failing because you just stop. Talk to me about failing forward. What's the difference there?
Failing forward means that you don't quit. That is that process of assessing, and you just keep going forward, and you're just in action.
Yeah.
In action. 2 words.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, you just keep you're making your next best decision based on your
Your
previous
goal.
right. And I don't know that we've said this, the purpose of the goal is to endure the process,
Yes.
the to something to look forward to. So for me, what I'm looking forward to is increased organization, more time on my hands, and just that say it feels like safety to me,
Yeah.
for my professional life, to have this organization, this structure done for myself. It
Yeah.
feels like responsible.
Yeah.
And that's who I want to be. My future self, this version of myself that I see in 2021 is how she shows up
Yeah.
like a boss. And she's organized and accountable for her time, and managing her time and time blocking, and get shit done, which
Yeah.
I
And
do now.
you do. You're just looking for a better way to do that, right? How to show up as like you said, an even better version of yourself. And I think what the impossible goal does for me is it keeps me on my toes. I think having an impossible goal keeps me on my toes. It keeps me from getting stale
Okay.
and just keeping on getting the results I've always gotten.
I think for me, I can definitely, when you like, just being intentional, keeping it in the forefront of my mind of what I want, and seeing myself who I want to be in 2021,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
And it sounds small, like sounds like I should have a larger goal than that, but it really is probably going to be the most impactful goal I could make for myself
Yeah.
at this juncture. It's going to be how I'm going to get to the next level.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the fact that you have reached an impossible goal this year, you know, we want to always be growing, but all of our goals, I think they can vary in size.
It's like the ocean, right? You're going to have ebbs and flows.
Yes.
And like last year was that to be an ebb, or was that a flow?
This is your illustration, sister.
It's the
I
high tide.
yeah.
And
Yeah, it was the high tide.
right.
Let's
And
say
so
that.
this is my year for
You had a tsunami last year.
right. This is my year for um I don't want to call it pulling it in, but for refining and adjusting and daily being intentional. I think that's going to be my word. Usually
Yeah.
I pick focus, but I think intentional will serve me well this year.
Mhm.
Probably need like 10 words.
Well, and that's the beauty of it because you will figure out along the way.
Mhm.
Eh, I think it's worth saying, we don't need to know the how.
Mm.
I have goals for this year, business goals, and I don't really know how I'm gonna get there, to be real honest with you. I I haven't gotten there before. I don't have evidence of how to do it, but I do have a belief in myself and a belief in my ability to come up with, even if I don't hit that goal, I know that I'm gonna come up with some good stuff this year. So, even with your organization, if you don't know exactly what's at the end of it, you're gonna come up with some good stuff. You're all about the action.
I'm getting excited thinking about it. Like it's really helpful to talk about it and breathe life into this, and to my future self. This is something um because I was so weight loss focused, I was so getting through school focused, I
Mhm.
was so getting hired focused, and coaching focused, and I'm at a point where this assessment and this just thinking about it,
Yeah.
I'm feeling very excited about, I know exactly what to do, and I'm not going to quit, and I have some evidence. I know exactly, like I said, exactly what to do.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
You
my
just
polish.
keep going.
It's my year of polish.
Look at that.
Mhm.
We'll look back. We'll have to listen to this one in December of 2021.
Right. Right.
We'll be close to 100 episodes at that point.
Wow. Wow. Did we do the teaser about why they need to go look at last week's?
Oh, yeah. If you haven't listened, of course, this is several weeks later. I don't remember when this podcast comes out. But if you haven't gone to YouTube to look at, if you don't watch us on YouTube, if you listen to us on iTunes, you should go see How to Fail. Because Judith looks a bit like a demon in it.
Right?
And and the funny thing is, you have if you haven't ever done anything, posted something to YouTube, you have 3 little thumbnail images to choose, and I had to prove to her that the one that I chose was
Was
actually
the best one.
because I felt a little guilty if I didn't explain that. But it absolutely was the best one, but Judith looks a bit like a demon, so
And that one, I know what I was doing in the one
yeah,
where I looked like a monkey scratch. It was this
yeah.
wire. I was
Ah,
adjusting
you're
this
reaching and
wire.
adjusting
As
your wire.
Yeah, as we sit here and talk, it gets hung up and
Yeah.
and it starts pulling my head and
Yeah. So anyway, there's a little teaser for you to go back. If you haven't listened to How to Fail, then you should go and watch it on YouTube and
which goes
see.
it goes perfectly with
It
this topic,
does.
right? Because you're gonna fail. I'm gonna fail my way to next year.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna quit.
Yes, that's you're gonna fail forward.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Oh,
will too.
mhm.
I'll have weeks where I make the money I want to make and lose the weight that I want to lose, and I'll have weeks that I don't.
Mhm.
But I'll keep coming up with new ideas.
Mm. Yep. Checking out. Are you looking over your notes too?
I am. I'm looking to see if there's anything else, and I think, um,
Call to action.
yep, that's it. That's what I've got. So, dear listeners, you want to do this?
Let's just wing it. We don't have anything up our sleeves, so I guess what we would like for you to think about a stretch goal slash impossible goal that that would help you in your life. Something that you want to apply daily or weekly um, actions to make constant, steady adjustments to, and keep moving. No matter what, you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And where do you see yourself in a year? Or is this a longer term goal?
Yeah.
Is this a weight loss goal? Is this an activity goal? Is this a professional goal, organization goal, whatever it is? How
Yeah.
can you apply what we've talked about today into some part of your life and keep moving forward?
Yeah. And maybe it's just setting the alarm earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Join with me.
Undo goal. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we will see you next week and we'll have something equally exciting. I forgot to look forward and see what we're talking about next week. But join us next week and we'll have something fantastic for you.
All
In the
right.
meantime, um, I'm Sonya Green
I'm Judith Fender.
and we'll see you next week.
Bye.